You ready to teach people how to make shelving?
It's been my life dream to teach people how to make shelving. I wasn't joking with you. I like really want to teach people how to make shelves. It's like a carpenter's secret.
It's been about a month and a half since we finished our kitchen remodel, and one of the biggest questions we've received was, how did you make those shelves, or where did you get those shelves? And this was not our original idea. I've seen this done in a lot of places. We actually did something really similar downstairs in the basement when we remodeled that. But today, Sweet Maya is building me yet another set of shelves for my books, which I have many, and I figured I would share it with you guys to answer your question on how you make these.
There were two things that we heard a lot of in this remodel: more shiplap and more shelves.
Yeah.
Which I'm down with.
He's saying he heard a lot of from me.
Yes, that's true.
I was the one who was saying that. So over here in this corner, we have a space that is going to home another set of shelves that's going to go pretty much floor to ceiling because I have a pretty large cookbook collection.
You gotta do that again.
I said pretty large, extremely large.
All right, let's go over components real quick. I'm just going to tell you what these are called. For starters, these are black iron pipe. These are not considered shelving pipe. When you go to your hardware store, you're going to go in and ask for where their gas lines are, because that's actually what these are invented for, is for running gas lines. The cool thing about these shelves is that they're extremely versatile. You can make them fit almost any space that you want them to. Like this one is a 3-shelf unit. We're about to put in a 7-shelf unit. The widths and the spaces between the shelves completely
You can kind of see it here. We've got different sizes all around to fit our kitchen.
And the gaps in between can be completely changed. So it's really, you got to figure out, okay, here's my space, here's what I need, here's what I have to work with, and then you kind of space out how it's going to go together. This is called a nipple. This is a pre-cut 12-inch nipple. The cheapest way to do this is to actually go into your hardware store and get a 10-foot stick of this, and almost every hardware store, like a Home Depot or Lowe's, has a cutter, and you just basically ask them to cut to length what you need. Okay, once you got your nipples figured out, you're gonna have to get what's called a T. Obviously a T is literally a T. It has receivers for a nipple on 3 sides. I'll show you how this goes together here in a minute. And you're probably gonna need a 90. The last component you're gonna need is what's called a floor flange. And you'll see where we're applying these pieces once we actually put the shelves on the wall.
Now, how we figure out how many of those pieces we're gonna need, Jeremiah always draws it out. He likes to do like a sketch of it so that he can count the different parts. And what we did, like in here, we figured out how high we wanted this to be. We wanted a lot of space between the bottom shelf and our cabinets because we have a lot of big appliances that we wanted to leave accessible, like this mixer and the blender. And so we figured out the distance that we wanted and then measured from there to the ceiling and just split that up to figure out how many shelves we were gonna be able to fit. And we knew that this top shelf was going to be really a shorter one that wasn't gonna have as much space, but we wanted to go ahead and have that for things that are a little more rarely used. And then we gave 12 inches of space in between these two.
I actually already had these assembled. I deconstructed a portion of them so I could show you the components. So we're gonna go ahead and put it back together before we get ready to mount it. And it basically just screws together. I mean, it's all threaded and
you'll see the T's. They connect to these nipples, which these are all 12-inch pieces. And they connect to the floor flanges, which we're going to screw into the wall.
The reason that these are 12-inch nipples is because that's how wide our shelves are. If you wanted to go deeper on your shelving, you could get a different size nipple and make these shelves deeper. We actually did that in the pantry. The pantry is 18 inches wide, so it's like super deep. And so we had to get 18-inch wide nipples, or 18-inch long nipples.
But do keep in mind, if you're thinking, oh, I just want to make a really deep bookshelf, you are going to have to put lumber in that, and they don't make 18-inch wide boards. So he actually had to custom build those by ripping.
Yeah, I custom built the shelving, which is not easy.
But 12 inches you can get.
This is a standard 2x12.
Yeah, so you can get 2x12s or 1x12s to use on these shelves.
Or if you need to go skinnier, you could go into the 10-inch material.
Right. So I'm going to show you guys something that we did differently here. So you'll see here that all of the shelves that go around the upper of the kitchen are a shelf, and then 12 inches to another shelf, and then 12 inches to another shelf, and then about 9 inches up to the ceiling, because that's the space that we had to do to make this work. Now over here, we decided to go ahead and use some of the pieces we had left over from doing the kitchen. And so our shelves on our bookshelves are not all going to be equally spaced. So we've got about a 9 from the ceiling down, and a 12, and a 12, and then here is like an 18, and a 12, and a 12. So you can see we sort of irregularly space these, which was done primarily because we didn't want to waste those pieces. We wanted to use what we already had. We also needed to make this space work and just fit the shelves into this space. So you'll notice that the iron piping on our shelving is black. It does not come that way. It actually comes like a really dark gray iron colored, because that's what it is. We have a set of shelves like this downstairs, which we left naked. That's just how they came. And you can kind of see like the writing on them, and it's pretty, it looks okay. But up here, we wanted it to look a little more polished when we were gonna be doing like black pulls, and we had the black on our backsplash, and we just really wanted it to go together. So what we did was we actually spray painted this metal. It comes coated in like a grease to keep it from rusting, and if you want to spray paint them, you have to get that off. You can do that one of two ways. You can soak them in water with Dawn dish soap and then scrub it off, or you can power wash them. Either way, you just need to get that grease off if you're gonna spray paint them if you want the paint to stick. So the first thing that we used on these to get them this nice matte black is the Rust-Oleum. It's called Farmhouse Black. We had a little bit of a hard time getting enough of this because apparently it's a pretty popular spray paint. So we had to go to multiple different stores and buy like 2 or 3 cans at a time. It doesn't take just a ton of this. So the whole shelf that we're showing you today that we built, that whole shelving unit was spray painted with half a can of this Rust-Oleum. And then we used on top of that this matte clear Rust-Oleum sealant. So both of these on cleaned piping. So we just realized that we had this together wrong, and one of the spacing was not even with the other, so Maya's putting it back together. I figured I would let you guys see that. Is that hard to do?
Put it together?
Yeah.
No. I mean, it takes some twerking and muscle, but it's not what I would consider hard.
But that takes some muscle.
Yes.
You'll see how he's doing it on the ground so that he can use his body weight to get that last twist around. It's the next day. We're picking this project back up. Having uninterrupted time in our main living space. Well, it doesn't always work out. So I wanted to show you guys the lumber that we're using for these shelves. We're using 2x12s, which we have cut into 4-foot pieces because that's how wide this shelf needs to be. The shelves we have downstairs, they're 1x material. We really just use the 2x up here for aesthetic. The 1x would have worked fine for anything that we were using. Even the bookshelf, the 1x would be fine with the weight, but the 2x material is really pretty because it's thick. So, and this is stained with Provincial,
No.
Jacobian. It's actually different. I'm saying it wrong too.
Yeah.
Jacobian.
Jacobian.
Anyway.
It's stained with that stain we're using.
That stain we're using. All right, let's get this up on the wall. So we've already hung one of these, and we're gonna show you how to level out hanging the other side.
I wanna go over a couple things before you guys start making holes and start trying to hang things. We kind of have it easy because we did shiplap on this wall. So that means that anywhere I put a screw, it's gonna hit wood, it's gonna hold the weight. Super simple there. Also have shiplap on the ceiling. So it's kind of like super basic. I can literally just throw this bracket up anywhere I want, it's gonna be secure. If you're not going into wood, you need to make sure you find studs and plan your shelving accordingly to that. And if you can't find studs and it's gonna carry a little bit of weight, you can do sheetrock anchors.
But obviously this is gonna be a really, really heavy bookshelf.
This is gonna be a really, really heavy bookshelf, and we can do that because I've got so much support with all the wood that we've already put up.
Right.
We're using sheetrock screws. They're black because our shelving is black. It makes it super simple. I don't have to paint the screws. So these are like what, 2-inch? I think there's a 2-inch sheetrock screws. Let's go over real quick all the parts and see how they came together. You know, we talked about the T. You're gonna need a T for every shelf that you put in. All All right, and then the flanges, these are called the floor flanges. There's a floor flange holding each shelf bracket to the wall. We also have a floor flange holding the top up. All right, now these actually, for the most part, you have to adjust them a little bit, but for the most part, they kind of just go up and level themselves. We'll show you the 2 places you have to check level. One thing that you can do different than this, but that we prefer to do it this way, is at the bottom, that's a 90. That's why I told you might need some of these. And it basically just 90s into the last shelf, straight to the wall. Now you could extend this down and put a floor flange here, and that would actually help support a lot of the weight. If you were going to have to use sheetrock anchors on your wall, you could do that. Doing that is actually kind of complicated because screwing all this together is not like exact science. So like we actually did a support system like that in our pantry. So like I had to take one nipple off and I keep adjusting the length. 3 trips into Home Depot to get it to literally fall right. These things aren't really exact. You know,
and the house isn't perfectly level.
Yeah, that's the other thing. You're dealing with all houses have different turns and warps and different things, and so to get it to fit is possible. It definitely supports a heck of a lot more weight, but it's going to be more work. You can do it though.
I like that little encouragement.
When you're putting your shelving up, make sure that when you mount your brackets that are going to hold the shelves, that you inset them a certain distance on this set of shelves and all through the kitchen. It's basically a 3.5 inch inset. On that bookshelf, I'm actually only doing a 2 inch inset because of the space I had to work with.
I'm very good at holding.
Where's my pencil marks? Okay, there. All right, look.
So we've already measured this, considering that 2 inch inset on either side. So we're putting our 4-foot shelves in with 2 inches inset on each side. Okay.
One of the places you have to check level is the shelving bracket going from the T to the wall. So essentially what we do is we got our mark, I had Jessica hold it, I put 1 screw in. Now I'm gonna go to the bottom where my other mark is, and I'm gonna start leveling from there and work my way to the top. Got my torpedo level. It's a little out of kilter, but it's fine. And that is almost good, almost good.
It's almost good, so is almost good good enough?
No, it's gotta be really good. I'm gonna check one more thing, and most of the time, if one shelf on this system is level horizontally, they're all gonna line up because you tightened everything down.
Upon checking the level on this, it was a little bit off. Now that might be because like the house is not in alignment or whatever, but in order to get your shelves completely level with these pipes, what you have to do is take one side down and either tighten it down a little bit more, which obviously takes off a little bit of length, or loosen it up just a little bit to add a little bit more length. And with that, you're able to compensate a little bit for if you have a slight curve in your ceiling or your floor or whatever. So really quick, I want to point something out to you. You'll probably be able to tell. This is actually level. These two bracket units are actually level to one another. The shiplap is not level because the floor is not level. And we're going to cover it up with books. You won't be able to tell that whenever there's shelves and books on this. So if anybody sees that and they're like, that's not level, it actually is. The shiplap's actually the problem.
I like this one. Like, I like that.
Yeah.
So we're gonna put it like more visible.
Okay.
Why are you laughing?
Because it's cute.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna get the rest of the shelves.
Okay.
We're about to put the rest of the shelves in, but I'm gonna go ahead and secure this top one and probably this one. And how we're gonna secure them to the bracket themselves is this, I'm not an electrician, so I don't know what you call it, but it's essentially like the strap you would buy if you were gonna run like external electrical conduit. And it goes around the conduit and screws in on both sides.
We did actually screw through the piping directly into the shelf on the ones in the kitchen. And it effectively created these tiny little metal splinters from screwing up through the pipes. It was awful. They were embedded in our hands for days. Jeremiah had like all these metal splinters. Not good. So we moved to using those brackets in the pantry, and it was much, much better.
Now, we could have pre-drilled those outside and avoided that. And also if I had a drill press, which I don't have. So you could still do that, but doing it inside by hand, it wasn't a good idea.
Nope. I like it very much.
A little trusty.
So this is going to hold lots of my cookbooks, which we have to finish carrying over from next door in storage.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun. So we're not going to unpack those right this instant. However, if you do decide to make some shelves like this, we'd love to see them. Well done, Maya. This is beautiful.
Well, thanks, helper.
All right, well, thank you guys for hanging out with us today. We are actually still planning on doing kind of like an overview of our kitchen remodel. We've still been just working on a couple little details. We got to get our tables finished. We just slowed down pretty hard after getting this little rushed.
Well, I mean, that and also harvest, preserving.
Oh yeah,
I've been canning salsa like a madman. The salsa was more important than the table, to be honest, so.
That's why.
But we're slowing down.
Hey, yeah, we'll get it done.
We're gonna get it all wrapped up and do a full kitchen tour.
Yeah, thank you guys for hanging out with us today. We bless you. Until next time.